Hi everyone and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
And today we're talking about an extremely famous movie, one of those that's considered to be one of the best movies of all time.
That's right. It's called Casablanca or Casablanca. Yeah.
So it's a black and white film. It was made in like the 1930s or 40s.
Early 1940s, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, so you may not have seen it. It's certainly not a modern film, but I think it's always on Netflix or something like that. Somewhere you can find it.
It's a must-see. I have seen it a couple of times, and it's really great.
Yeah. What are some of your other favorite films?
Oh boy, I'm a very I like a variety of films, but I think one of my favorites is Amélie, and I like Rosemary's Baby, which is a horror film.
Yep.
I like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's a classic British comedy, and But I'm a Cheerleader, which is a LGBT film.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
I'll always go straight to The Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, yes.
Considered as kind of a single film in 3 parts.
Ah, okay. I'll include that in mine too.
Rather than 3 films. I'm trying to think of other films that I really, really love. I mean, Casablanca is up there. I'm a huge fan of The Usual Suspects. Bit of a question there concerning one of the main actors in that. It's a discussion for another time. Depends how well you can separate art from the artist. But
okay.
The movie itself is still really, really good.
Okay.
But yeah, lots of other good films out there. But we're going to discuss Casablanca in this one. Let's read through the article.
Reading. Remembering Casablanca, the world's best-loved movie. There are many wonderful movies out there. Casablanca, which came out in 1942, is considered one of the greatest. As we celebrate its 80th birthday, let's take a brief look at the film and what makes it so magical. The story is set in Casablanca, Morocco, during World War II. Rick is an American who used to fight for freedom before he lost his beliefs. Then Ilsa, a woman from his past, walks back into his life. Rick, Ilsa, and several other characters must decide what's important to them as the Nazis threaten them all. Casablanca is full of superb performances by the whole cast. Many of the actors in the background had actually escaped from the Nazis. This gives the movie real depth and human feeling, especially when they join together to sing the French national anthem. They drown out some German singers as they do so, and this makes the moment a symbol of their resistance. There are also many famous quotes and a truly memorable ending. If you haven't seen Casablanca, make time to do so. You're in for a treat.
So the article begins, there are many wonderful movies out there. And we've just mentioned a bunch.
Yeah, we just mentioned a few of them, but we're talking about one in particular. Casablanca, which came out in 1942, is considered one of the greatest. So we have this word here, come out, or phrase, come out. When something comes out, it becomes available. Basically, when a movie or book comes out, it's when it starts being sold. It's when you can start seeing it, start reading it or watching it, start consuming it. So you can talk about anything that people are sort of expecting to appear in the world, and then it does. So things like media, things like music, or even products on shelves, like if you're excited for a new brand of soda that's coming out, that sort of thing.
Yeah, or an iPhone that's coming out next year and so on. So, 1942, which makes this movie 80 years old.
Happy 80th birthday.
Indeed. So the article continues, as we celebrate its 80th birthday, let's take a brief look at the film and what makes it so magical. So let's look at the word brief first. If something is brief, it's short, it's quick. It's not going to be full of details. It's not going to cover every single point of something. It's going to just give you a surface level idea that you could maybe go and research yourself, because there have been video essays, proper essays, probably PhDs written about Casablanca because it's so popular. People have studied it, analyzed it, criticized it, and so on. And we can't get into all of that because pages and pages have been written about it. Millions of words have been said. So we're just going to do it briefly and give you a quick, simple idea of what the story's about and what makes it great.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a way we can use it in an example sentence. The travel guide gives brief descriptions of some of the major restaurants and hotels in every city in the country.
All right, so we're taking a brief look at it because, of course, we only have so many words and so much time, but we're going to see what makes it so magical. Now, you're probably thinking, like, does this movie have magic in it? Does it have wizards? Is it like Harry Potter? Is it something like that? No, not at all. It's a very realistic movie. But why we say it's magical is less about, witches and magic and more about what makes it pleasant and exciting. So if you say something is magical in this way, it means that it's really, really nice. It's wonderful. It makes you feel like, wow, amazed. It makes you feel like it's very exciting and nice to see. So an example could be, Devin and I went on a romantic boat trip for our last date. It was so magical.
Sounds it. So the next paragraph just gives us a little idea about the plot of the film. No details, nothing really that's going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. So we see the story is set in Casablanca, Morocco, during World War II. So there's our place, there's our time. It's in this North African country. It's during the Second World War. And it's kind of all about people. A lot of the story involves people who want to escape from Europe and get to the US.
Yeah, exactly. And Casablanca is a real city in Morocco. You can actually visit there. It still exists. But we're kind of in maybe a fictional place in Casablanca. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing fictional people. So some of our characters, let's talk about them. Rick is an American who used to fight for freedom before he lost his beliefs. And during this time, I think that would be easy to do if you're in the middle of a very, very big war. He lost his beliefs. A belief, in this case, is not something that you believe like, oh, I believe that Santa Claus is real. That's not that kind of belief, but it's more about something that you think is true or right in the world, something that you say is very important to your life and how you view the world. Something that you think is valuable. So if you have a belief in being kind, or if you have a belief in, let's say...
like fairness, like things will work out well, or that people are generally good rather than bad.
Yes, so it's a belief in your values kind of thing. So if you say he lost his beliefs, that means he probably doesn't believe in freedom anymore. He doesn't believe that America is the best or worth fighting for, that sort of thing. So an example of this could be Elise has a strong belief that it's always right to be kind and help others.
Which is definitely true.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Rick. He's kind of given up on life. He's stopped fighting for causes. He's more thinking about himself. And then in the article we see, then Ilsa, a woman from his past, walks back into his life.
So, yeah, Ilsa, a woman from his past. And I believe she's German, is she not?
Norwegian.
All right, so he knows her from some time past. Rick, Ilsa, and several other characters must decide what's important to them as the Nazis threaten them all. Yeah, so keep in mind this was during World War II. If they're leaving Europe, they're probably running away from the Nazis, the German Nationalist Party that was trying to take over all of Europe at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of... we've skipped over all the important plot and the details there. You should watch this for yourself and find out. But that's a vague idea of the kind of what's this story? Where is it? What's it about? Who's in it? And what are they doing? So let's move on now to say why it's proved so popular. And again, this is a brief look, just some of the reasons. So the article's next paragraph says, Casablanca is full of superb performances by the whole cast. Got a few things to look at in this sentence. The first one is the phrasal verb to be full of something. And as you can probably guess from the way it's structured, this means that whatever we're talking about contains a large amount or a great deal of something. So there's not just one good performance or two or three. Everybody gives a really great performance.
Yeah, exactly. And the performances that they give are described as superb. So you probably have heard the word super, like Superman. This is kind of a related word. If you say something is superb, with the emphasis on superb, it means it's extremely good. It's very good quality. It's brilliant in a way that it's very easy to see. So if you say that the meal was superb, it means that, it both looked good and tasted very good, and it's worth praising, that sort of thing.
And here we're describing the performances by the actors. We're talking about a performance to mean a kind of a single instance or a single showing of someone's artistic or possibly physical talent. And it's something that they would do mostly in front of a live audience or at least record it on a camera. We often use this talking about actors. Do they act really well in the movie? Then they give a great performance. If a musician does a really good singing show or plays the guitar particularly well, we say they have given a great performance. And it's used for sports players as well. If someone has a really good soccer game, we say, wow, what a performance that young player has given, and things like that. So it's just how they express themselves, how they perform their particular gifts, how they use them. So we could say, the young actor gave a fine performance in her first major Hollywood movie.
All right. And so who is giving the performances? Of course, we've got the cast. So as you might be able to guess, these are all actors we're talking about. And when you put all of the actors in a movie or a show or a play together, they are called the cast. You often hear them being talked about as part of the cast and crew. So the cast are the people in front of the camera doing all the acting and showing up on the screen. And then the crew is everybody behind the camera. So the people controlling the camera. I think the director would be considered part of the crew. All the people who are taking care of things like food, costumes, all of that, that's crew. So the cast is the actors, essentially. So if you're talking about the cast of a movie, you might be talking about who is in that movie. So an example, there are many famous actors in the cast for this new movie, so people are excited to see it.
Okay, so what we're saying with this sentence is it's not just the main actors who performed really well, but even the smaller characters who maybe only had a few lines delivered them really well. They made you believe they were real. And there is a reason for this because, of course, a lot of the main actors are going to be known Hollywood actors and talents, but quite a few of them were European. A lot of the main cast came from Europe, and not just the main cast. As we see in the article, many of the actors in the background had actually escaped from the Nazis. So a lot of people have escaped different parts of Europe before or during the war, and if they were actors, they found work in Hollywood, even just as background extras. And these were the people who were cast to be the background characters in this movie.
So Humphrey Bogart, who plays Rick, was an American. But I don't know, are there any particular names who you can think of who are
Claude
like this?
Rains was British America, so he was from Britain. I forget the name. Ingmar Bergman, obviously, is Swedish.
She's Swedish. Okay.
Then not Claude Rains. Paul Heinrich? I think he's Czech or Austrian or something like that.
He sounds about there.
Yeah, Konrad Veidt, who plays the bad guy, was German Jewish and had escaped from the Nazis. So yeah, lots of examples.
So yeah, when you are having people who actually lived through the thing you're making a movie about, it makes it that much more emotional for them. As the article says, this gives the movie real depth and human feeling, especially when they join together to sing the French national anthem. All right, so they're singing something, and what they're singing is a national anthem. When you think of a national anthem, it's basically a country's official song. Almost every country, if not every country, has one. And it's a song that usually praises the country and its people and maybe its government and its ideals. So, like, the U.S. is, oh, say, can you see? And Britain is God Save the Queen, right?
Or King, yes.
Yes,
ours is terrible. Ours is not stir. I hate our national anthem. It's very boring.
It.
It's so dull.
I think I've heard Taiwan's. I couldn't sing it for you, but and I think Japan's is even more dull to me. It's very slow. It sounds like a funeral song to me. But I like the French national anthem.
Yeah,
I feel like it's very energetic.
Yeah.
So that's the song they sing in the film.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's a big moment in the film because we see in the article they drown out some German singers as they do so, meaning as they sing the French anthem. And this makes the moment a symbol of their resistance. So in the movie, they're in this cafe and the Germans are singing a patriotic kind of German song. And then suddenly, pretty much everybody else starts singing the French national anthem. Morocco was part of the French government at this point, and singing the French national anthem would be a way to show how much they were standing against the Germans. And they drowned them out. To drown out means to be so loud as you stop another sound from being heard. If you were listening to music, but there was construction work outside, the construction work would probably drown out your music.
Exactly. So they are trying to show this as a symbol of resistance. Now, if you're thinking about the Nazis that are taking over Europe, they've probably taken over parts of France at this point. And so if you have French people there, they are showing their resistance, which kind of means they're trying to fight back. It's just in a small way. Like, it can be in a small way, like saying, like, I'm going to sing my national anthem so loud that you can't sing yours. Or it can be in a more, like, real and substantial way, like they can fight back with an army. So both of those things happened in World War II, and they were very important for people.
Yeah, this scene in the play, I can't watch it without tears in my eyes in Casablanca. It's such a good moment. We also see about the film there are also many famous quotes and a truly memorable ending.
Oh, yes.
Some quotes you'll see in the activity that goes with our article in the magazine, but a quote is a famous line from a movie or a play or maybe even a book that many people would remember or recognize, and they could repeat it. They would know, oh, I know who said that line in what movie. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger's most famous quote is, "I'll be back."
More like, I'll be back. But I think even before I ever saw Casablanca, I knew the quote, I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship.
Right.
Yeah, very, very famous. So, and this was very memorable, and the ending was also very memorable. You can probably tell from the sound like memory that this means something about remembering. And it is true. This means it's very good, it's very interesting, and it's worth remembering. And usually easy to remember because you are able to remember it. Memorable. Yeah.
So we're not going to spoil the ending for you because it is a big moment. And we'll just leave you with this idea. If you haven't seen Casablanca, make time to do so. To make time means to create space in your schedule to do a particular thing. Where it's the sort of phrase you'd use when you're saying, you should do this. Take some time. Find the time to do this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And a movie at this time would not have been very long. Movies today are, around 2 hours, maybe longer. This probably is an hour and a half. Yeah, so it won't take you very long. It's definitely worth a watch. And the article says, and I believe this is true, you're in for a treat. So if you say somebody's in for a treat, this is an idiom that means that they're about to experience or receive something that they're really going to like, that they're really going to enjoy. And that is really good quality, which is true about this movie.
Yep. Okay,
All right.
We'll leave you guys to go and watch it now and see what you think. But we're going to move on to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So the question is, what movies from today do you think will be popular in 80 years' time and why?
I feel like this is an impossible question because I know what's popular today. That doesn't mean it's going to be popular in the future.
Right.
There could be some movies that are kind of, sleeper hits today that in the future are going to be huge. So, I don't know. I guess the easiest guess would be the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, the superhero movies, of which there are many.
Yep.
Yeah.
I suppose not going back too far, but the Batman trilogy with Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
I expect at least certainly The Dark Knight to be considered as a classic of its kind.
It is very, very good.
In the future. But I'm almost wondering, because movies are moving, they're big, they're action-packed, they're very lively, whereas a lot of the deep, lengthy storytelling is maybe being seen in TV these days rather than movies. So I'm wondering, maybe a lot of the movies will be quickly forgotten, but maybe not. I could be wrong. There could be some movies.
There could be more indie films that will be more popular.
Yes, they will. They will kind of gain popularity at some point, or maybe a big event in the world will happen and somebody will make, maybe a movie about COVID-19.
I mean, there's already been one. I'm sure there'll be more.
Right. They could, if someone makes some really good stories about that, they'll maybe be something that stands out and people will look back and go, that's what life was like then. And it's a classic story of those times.
Yeah, definitely.
But otherwise, we're just guessing because you never quite know.
Yeah, maybe you guys will get to see that 80 years from now if you're, about a 90 to 100-year-old person and you look back and you're like, I remember that when I was in junior high and high school.
I mean, that kind of movie is going to have universal themes that are still going to be relevant and popular in the future as well as today. So who knows what they'll be, but maybe we'll find out. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening. For English for You, I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Brief. I don't have much time to hear your story, so please keep it brief. Magical. Visiting Santa's village in Finland is magical. It feels like you're really in Santa Claus's home. Belief. It is some people's belief that eating meat is wrong because it hurts animals. Performance. The band often gives live performances at local bars, and many are invited to watch. Cast. The producers of this movie spent lots of money on the cast, so it is full of famous actors. Quote. Speak softly and carry a big stick, you will go far, is a famous quote by former American President Theodore Roosevelt.
智慧小补帖
Superb. National Anthem. Resistance. Memorable.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net